Hello, ICT215 spreadsheet students. I wanted to reassess how I'm approaching the next few weeks of the course, and as I stated in the video I recorded and put out in this week's module earlier in the week, I wanted to offer up different ways to help support those who were struggling a bit with some of the basic elements of working with charts and working with formulas. This video I'm going to focus specifically on working with charts and kind of going over some basic stuff, but maybe some more stylistic elements to working with charts as well. So for those of you who have a really good knowledge of working with charts and you don't feel like you need a lot of kind of basic information, you may not need to watch this. At any rate, I would peruse around the video a little bit just to see if there's anything that you think you may benefit from. So that being said, here is a sample of one of the data sets that you need to chart for this week's assignment. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a simple chart. I'm not going to select any data in this to insert the chart. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to tell Excel the very minimum that I need to tell it in order for it to put a chart into this sheet. Once I do that, we are going to manually manipulate some of the data in that chart to make it look better. Okay, so that's the goal. So what you have to do at the very minimum in order to insert a chart is you have to click somewhere within the data. So I'm going to click in here. I'm going to go up onto the ribbon, the Insert tab, and I am going to insert a clustered column chart. So here you get live preview, by the way, so you can see I didn't click on it yet, but if you look in the middle of the sheet to the right of the data set, you'll see the chart appear. This gives you what's called a live preview, so you can take a look at what this may look like. You can kind of, before you decide on what you want to select. It's a nice feature that's been around for a little while anyways, which allows you to be able to take a peek at things without actually putting it in there, deleting it out, all that kind of stuff. For this one, I'm going to go with the basic 2D clustered column chart. I'm going to click on that, and now here it is. Okay, it's pre-sized. The data, again, I just selected, I think I was in D7 or something like that in this data area. Selected one cell. Excel's intuitive enough that it knows that I want to pull in data from everywhere there's data within this range. So it did that. But the problem is I don't want all of that in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start eliminating some items from here. And I'm going to take a look here. I really want to only show fourth quarter income by city and by month and amount. Okay, right now what I'm seeing in here are both of those, the city, it's in the legend, the month, and I'm also seeing total, minimum, and maximum, which I don't want those. I don't need those. But you can see right here with this chart selected, there are a few things I want to point out here. One is the data that it's pulling from. You see it's kind of highlighted here in this area where it pulled data, so you know that everything that is on here, you can see that where it is over here. You can see that it is included. The other thing I want to point out here is that if you'll notice that whenever before we inserted this chart, the tabs that were available on the ribbon were the File, Home, Insert, Page Layout, Formulas, Data, Review, View, and Help. Once we inserted a chart, there are these what they call contextual tabs on the ribbon that appeared. And these ones specific to the chart it's called the chart tools. And the chart tools are made up of the Design tab in the Format tab. And you can see here in the Chart Tools, this appeared because we selected a chart. We inserted a chart. If the chart isn't there, if you pay attention here, I'll select outside of the chart, and those contextual chart tools disappear. I select the chart again, and those contextual chart tools reappear with the Design in the Format tab. I'll say this for the Format tab. This you can do a lot in terms of formatting font, formatting colors, adding borders, giving text outlines and text fills, and all that kind, and alignment and all that kind of stuff that is really related to what your chart elements look like, mostly fonts, colors, those kind of things. I'm not concerned with that at this point. That's not where I'm seeing the issues with charting and what I'm hearing from students. What I'm hearing and what I'm seeing is all related to this design area. So just know this formatting tab within the chart tools exists. However, we are going to spend the remainder of our time in this design tab area. So this design tab area, there are a few things that you can do here with this, and one of them is that you can change some elements of your chart. So basically what you're looking at here, if you click on the drop down, you can see all the different things that you can do. There are things you can do with the axis. You can change how the axis looks, and again, you get the view, that live preview, and you notice the chart as I go through here, what it looks like and what changes are made. You can also do things like chart title. You don't want a chart title. You want it above centered. You want it a centered overlay. There are more chart title options. Again, that's related to the chart title here. Data labels. If you want to put some data labels in there, we can add some data labels. You see what that looks like there on the screen. That looks messy right now, and we'll get into messing with that in a bit in this video. But that's an option that you want to look at, and we will, as I said, play around with it in more detail. If you would throw that in there right now, as this chart is, it would just look like a jumbled mess. You can also put a data table in here as well. If you notice this, that just gives more detail in terms of the table data, which this could be beneficial if you were going to put this on its own sheet and you were going to present this to your colleagues. Having that extra data with the data shown on the chart could be beneficial, could be helpful. I don't know. It's up to you, really. It's up to you. But I just want to point out some of the things that you can do here within the chart elements. Okay, you can mess with the legend if you want. If you don't want it there, if you want it at the top, if you want it to the left, you can do all that kind of stuff. Again, chart elements. Okay, there is a quick layout option as well. So if you think maybe I'd like to have the data on here, and I like the look of this, I could go with this one here, which again, it just shows that the cities, and it shows kind of the data that's associated with them by months to the right of it. You can change the colors here as well. You can rest over the mouse pointer, you get the live preview again. You can manipulate colors one fell swoop, or you can change them individually as well, which I'll get into in a bit. Okay, so those are some chart layout. There's some the color scheme that's there. Chart styles. You can change the style of the chart if you want to. That's totally up to you. You can use these features here. Again, the drop down is there. You can do that. We're going to just stick with this basic one for now because I want to manipulate it in other ways that is not in the chart styles option. You can switch the row and column. This kind of just swaps out data in different places here. So if I click on it, you'll be able to see how it changes the data, what it looks like on there. You're actually just swapping it out, switching the rows around with the column, etc. Okay. You can change the chart type here as well. You can do that if you'd like. So you get these options again in here. You can do line chart, pie chart. I need all the charts that are available. You can look at those. You can actually get a live preview of what that looks like in here as well. I'm going to cancel that out. I don't want to do that. So then the last two things where we're going to spend most of our time is this selecting data and moving the chart, and then doing some manipulation of the chart in terms of formatting the chart itself. Okay, we're not going to use the feature here to do that. We are going to use the feature that appears out in this area here. Okay, so first of all, I want to get rid of some of this data here. And what I want to get rid of is this total area here. I want to get rid of the minimum, and I want to get rid of the maximum. I go to look and see what's going on here and why I pulled that stuff in. So I'm going to go to this Select Data button here on the ribbon. And now I can see it's looking, if you look over here, this kind of area, it's saying, hey, look, this is the area, what we're looking at, is that what you want? And I'm telling it yes. And here it is here. It's the sheet, and it's A1 through G9. That's what we want. So if we didn't want that, we could change that. We could tell it, no, 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 I only want to include data in this area right here. So then it would just pull in from there and not include this stuff at the top. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cancel out of here, and I'm going to go back into this again because I don't want to mess things up there. I do want to include all of this for now. What I want to get rid of, if you notice here, this column here has the cities, and then also below that in the column, total and average. So you can see here the data that's in here: Denver, Seattle, Portland, Tacoma, total, and then below total is the average. So that's this. I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to click that to uncheck that. I'm going to uncheck that, and then I'm going to OK it. Now you notice what happens here. The chart changes. It got rid of that total and that average, but the total, minimum, and maximum are still here. So what's going on? Well, I'm going to go back into the Select Data. By the way, you didn't have to do this. I just wanted to show you this. Now I see over here October, November, December, total, minimum, and maximum. That's why this stuff is showing here. It's checked here. So I got to uncheck it, and I'm going to click OK. Now my chart looks a lot cleaner, right? So I'm satisfied with the data that I have here. So now what I want to do is make this stand out a little bit more. So one of the first things I want to do is I'm going to change the chart title. And I'm going to change that chart title, and you'll have to excuse me, my microphone is right in the area of where I need to type. So I'm going to move it around, so if my voice gets weird, that's probably why. Bear with me for a minute, please. So I'm just going to change this chart title to fourth. Oops, I'm not selected in there. That's the problem. Okay, there it is. Fourth quarter sales. Okay, so there I have fourth quarter sales. So I changed the chart title. That's the first thing I want to do in terms of making my data look a little bit better, making this chart look a little bit better. Okay, this chart is made up of various elements. It's made up of the chart title. It's made up of the chart area. So that's this area outside here. If you click anywhere in these outside areas, that's the chart area. And by the way, you can tell that if you notice to the right of the screen here, this formatting area that pops up, I'm going to slide this over a little bit here. The formatting area pops up will tell you where you are. I can see I selected the title here, so oh yeah, I can tell I'm in the chart title. Now if I select over to the right of that, if you pay attention to this area, what happens? Now I'm in the chart area. Okay. Now I'm going to select below here because this is another element. So you have the title, you have the chart area, you have here what's called the plot area. And then these are all elements that make up the chart. So there are all these separate elements that kind of exist overlapping and within each other as well. So here's the plot area. And anytime you select that, you can make the changes to that particular area. And then over here is the axis. Okay? And then you have another axis here. And then you have the legend. And again, if you pay close attention over here, it tells you where you are. And then the last item that you have is actually the data series. Okay. Now, when you click on one item in the data series, what is happening here, you notice Denver is blue. I clicked on one bar that's blue, and it's selected this bar, this blue bar, and this blue bar. That's because Excel sees them all as one data element. Okay, Denver is one data element in here, and you can see that if you look over here again, it tells you what you have selected here. It's highlighted here in this area in our actual data. Now, if I wanted to just make changes to one area here, okay, I have all three selected right now, but I want to change the color of just December to show how much Denver really kicked butt in December. So I'm going to select this again. You notice that it unselected these two and it's kept this one selected. So now I want to change this. I want to make this stand out a little bit. So I'm going to really give that a nice poppy color to make it stand out. I'm going to make that green. So there it is. I want to show that Denver really stood out in the month of December and that they really outperformed everybody else by almost double. Okay, so again, within the data point area, the data series, you have data series, which makes up all of them, and then when you click on one again, it turns it into a data point. So it's no longer a part of the series, it's one point within that series, if that makes sense. Okay, so anytime if you want to make changes to all of them, I want to change this color scheme because I don't like it. Okay, I don't think it fits in well with this. So I'm going to make that a, let's see here, what do I do here? Maybe I'll make that one a purple. Who knows? Just throwing it out there. There we go. I like it. Okay, so we'll go with purple for that one. So this is manipulation of the data series, and then you can manipulate a data point as well, which is one item within the series. Okay. All right, so again, over here you can do a lot of stuff. You can add a border. I'm going to put a border on this because I want to, let's have a solid line, and I'm going to make it a little bit thicker, and I want to make it, oh, my apologies. I wanted to make the border here, not just on that one. I made it on that one data point. I wanted to make it the whole plot area. So I'm gonna back up and do this over again. So I'm going to the solid line. I'm going to make it 2 point, and you can change this and do a lot of stuff with it if you want to. I'm not going to get into that kind of stuff, but just know that that's here. Get in here and play around with this. You'd be surprised by the amount of stuff that you can do within this formatting area of the different elements within the chart. And just to note, a very important thing is that when you're using the web version, the Office 365, excuse me, those elements are not available, the majority of them. You have some very basic stuff that's available in there, but the majority of this stuff is not available within that Office 365 web version of Excel. This is the full desktop version, the full desktop software download, the same with Mac. You'll have all these functions and features built within that regarding charting. Okay, so we're going to move on here. I want to make this stand out a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a picture in there. So I want to make this plot area a picture just to kind of liven it up a little bit, make it a little more fun. Bear with me here because this does sometimes take a little bit of time. Even though I'm on a pretty fast internet connection, this picture feature, if you're going out online and pulling them in, takes a little bit of time sometimes. The other option that you have here is that you can go out and Google image and pull a picture down, and then you can just go ahead and insert it here from a file. I'm going to put a little doggy picture in here because I love puppies. So I'm going to put this little puppy in here. I'm not sure if it selected it. Oh, it did. So I'm going to put that in there, and you see the little cute puppy is now a part of our chart. Okay, but I think it's too dark. I think it distracts from the data sets here. So what I'm going to do here is over in the format plot area, I'm going to make that transparent. So I'm going to make that transparency maybe somewhere in the upper 60s here. Okay, so there you can see it made that picture transparent. It's not as popping out. It's not as interfering with the data. Now again, this is a matter of preference, but a lot of times what you have to do is just play around with this and see what looks good. And we're going to make this chart its own sheet. So once we do decide that we get through this and we make our chart its own sheet, if it doesn't look good on that, we can go back in and change things. But I'm going to set that transparency right now at 67% because I want to be able to see that cute little puppy there. But I also want to be able I want our data to stand out the most, but add that nice little feature in the background there. Okay, I'm going to go into the chart area now, and I'm going to add a little bit of maybe a fill, a gradient fill. See what that looks like. Yeah, I kind of like that there. We'll go with that. Now again, you can mess around with all this stuff. This here bar, you can pull stuff. If you watch the chart, it'll lighten up or darken as you go down. See what it's doing? It's actually pulling the gradient level from very high down a little bit. You can darken it up, messing around with these things. There's a lot of stuff that you can do here. You can change the color of it too. I like that bluish kind of color there, so I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to actually do a little bit of work over here on our legend here as well, because I want that to stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to give that a little bit of a gradient fill as well. Let's see, I kind of like that there. Let's see what, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to spend too much time on this. And then as well with the fourth quarter sales, I'm going to give that a little bit of a different fill just to stand out a little bit more than the rest of it, what's going on up there. And I definitely don't want purple. I'm going to try like a darker blue there. Okay, yeah. Again, just messing around with this. You can see now the different elements and what we've done with the chart here. For sake of this video, I'm going to leave this alone in terms of changing what it looks like. I do want to do one more thing, and I want to be able to put the money. I want to show the money in here as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to start messing around with the area of the charting of the money in the charts. So you can do this a couple of different ways. You can add things directly to this here. You can add it here. You can add it all together. You can add it from the plot line area. There's a lot that you can do. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get in here and I'm going to go over to the chart element and I'm going to add data labels. And I'm going to put them in the center. Okay. Now, that kind of doesn't look really good. So what I want to do now is I want to change them, and I want all of them to be inside. So, and I want them to go in a different direction. So I'm going to change the alignment here. They're right now horizontal, so I'm going to change them to rotate all this, what it just looks like on here. So you'll see that that is now inside there. I'm going to do the same with this one here. I'm going to do the same with this one. And I'm going to do the same with this one here as well. And yeah, I think that looks good there. Okay. So that's that. I just wanted to show you how to do that piece as well. Now what I want to do, last thing, is I'm going to put this chart on its own sheet. Okay, so right now we are sheet 1. We only have one sheet. Sheet 1 includes all of our data and it includes our chart as well. I want to change that. I want to move this chart to its own sheet. So the way that I do that is I click inside the chart somewhere. Again, I have to make sure that the contextual chart tools are showing up here. On the design tab, I'm going to click on move chart. Okay. And I'm going to move chart to a new sheet. And I'm going to rename that sheet Overall Fourth Quarter Sales. Would help if I could type. So that's going to make a new sheet which will appear down here as Overall Fourth Quarter Sales. Okay. Now, you can add different sheets to this in terms of, this is all about presentation, remember? So we're using this chart to present our data to our colleagues. We can also have multiple sheets in here with different data sets on them based on, maybe we want to show one with just Denver. So we set up our chart going through the process that I just showed you here to only include Denver in the months of October, November, December. Okay? Then we create that chart on its own sheet and call that Denver Fourth Quarter Sales. We can go do the same thing for Tacoma. And so we have Tacoma Fourth Quarter Sales as a sheet. So we have this one that has overall everyone, all the cities, and then we can break it out to individual as well. And that's the work that you're doing this week on charting, is directly related to this right here. So I hope that puts it into context and it helps you a little bit. Here I'm going to go ahead and put this on its own sheet now. And now here we have, I'm going to close this out so you can see what that looks like. There's our nice chart with all the data in it. We changed a bunch of elements of the chart around manually, and we put a nice picture of one of the cutest puppies I've ever seen, and now that is on its own chart. If you see down here, here's our sheet 1 that only includes the data set now. You notice our chart is no longer there, but there is another tab down here, another sheet that is called Overall Fourth Quarter Sales. So that, if I click on that, that is this. Okay? And that's it. I hope this was helpful. Please, please, please reach out to me if you want more information or if you need more clarification on any of this stuff. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. You know how to get in touch with me. I'm available. Don't want to see anyone struggle. So take care, and I hope to hear from you soon. See ya.